Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Media Crash podcast. This is episode 9, and today we are going to be talking about the sci-fi genre and just our experiences in the sci-fi genre. So my name is Holden, otherwise known as Time to Grind.
My name is Daniel, otherwise known as Not Daniel.
My name is X01, also known as Matthew. I am here to explain the topic of sci-fi.
I'm
not going to do that. I'm not going to do it the whole time. But
I can't believe, I just wanted to talk about, self-replicating androids and, androids replacing humans. Like, my favorite sci-fi plot line, the plot line of Fallout 4, where the Institute replaced humans with robotic androids for very good reasons. Reasons so good that you don't have to know.
I love the ending of Ex Machina. But the sci-fi is a genre that typically deals with imaginary and futuristic technology or concepts. And everyone knows sci-fi; it's in the name. But I just saw a picture of this on the Wikipedia page. I'm going to talk about this real quick. But one of the earliest accounts of a sci-fi story is probably War of the Worlds. Do you guys know about that? There was a remake that came out in the early 2000s. It was it's an alien invasion movie.
I've never seen it, but I know about it.
But it started out not only as a novel by Wells, but it also was a radio thing. It was made as a hoax, but the guy said he was going to do this at a certain time. He was going to make a broadcast and make it sound like an actual news thing.
Oh, wait, that's what you're talking about.
That they were being attacked, and it was the War of the Worlds, and then all this stuff was happening, and people were fucking freaking out, until they had to admit that it was a fucking fake. Even though I think there was no way they didn't make it sound like it was fake at all. I don't think they just they said it was a broadcast, but just people tuning in just immediately thought that's what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first There's probably other stories out there, but that was the first of a lot of things, an alien invasion, all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the genre covers a lot of topics that changed over time. It started out as just space exploration or robots coming out in it, and then in the 40s, it turned into, after our visit to Hiroshima, a lot of the sci-fi kind of turned into what radiation ? And then so people, I guess filmmakers thought this whole thing about oh, wait a minute, radiation means mutation. That means anything can happen with nukes.
Oh, and then they just take it in any direction possible.
Yeah, just make them just 10 times bigger, or Gojira, or fuck. I pronounced that terribly, by the way. It's just Godzilla. But I was trying to do the Japanese version.
You were attempting to pronounce Godzilla there?
No, okay,
I think that's how it's actually...
That's how the Japanese
call
it. They go Gojira or something like that.
Oh my god. I think that's
canceled.
That's why there's so wide variety of sci-fi stuff, is because I feel a lot of sci-fi, it's just a reason you can give for why a billion things happen. They're just okay, well, I want this crazy stuff to happen, and using sci-fi, I can just that can be the reason. That can be the explanation.
Matthew, you're right. It is Gojira. That's
Yes.
The official Japanese pronunciation.
I wasn't wrong. Also, I'm pretty sure that was the nickname they gave to a janitor that was tall or something. Or that's
what
the name
janitor?
they gave to. I don't know. There was when they were making the first Godzilla movie, they there was this janitor guy that had a nickname Gojira or something. I probably should look this up before I said this on a live podcast. So, but
who needs preparation?
Yeah, who needs?
Anyway.
The Media Crash
For
podcasts
fact-checking.
are always right about everything, and if your reality, disagrees with that, well, quite clearly you're just insane, and you need to get some help or something like that.
Or we're just in a different universe where we're talking about sci-fi.
Yeah.
We're just in an alternate universe where everything. When the universe we're recording this podcast in,
Man,
we're
I
always
sure
right.
am glad that Italy won World War II. Not the Axis, just Italy. They're not even
somehow
fascist.
made it on
Just
top.
Italy.
No. A comical Italian stereotype rules the world in our timeline. It's great, actually. I'm a big
So
fan of Italian food.
I think the obviously the first thing that people probably think of when they talk about sci-fi is like Star Wars. So I know we potentially might be, at some time in the future doing like a huge Star Wars episode. So we're not going to like talk too much about it, but like I feel like we need to talk about it because it is like the
It's
sci-fi.
yeah, it's what you think of when it comes to sci-fi. But it's funny. Star Wars is like there's a couple franchises out there that like even when you're doing a series on genres, technically you could do one on that, and it's like its own genre. Basically, like how to do a Star Wars. Even if it's not like in the franchise, there are clear movies that are trying to be like space
Star
opera,
Wars.
Star
Opera.
Wars. Yeah,
So
yeah.
were there a lot? Was Star Wars one of the first like space operas, or like one of the most
And
popular
I'm so
ones?
happy you asked. In 1930 something, there was a comic strip called Flash Gordon. It is, for those of you who know this small little indie band in the 80s called Queen. They made a song about Flash Gordon. It goes like Flash, something like that.
Your mic was not meant for that.
Anyways, it was a space opera before Star Wars. Like, space opera was a thing before Star Wars, but Star Wars made it very popular. It's
And
very campy. I highly recommend watching
And
the
focus on-
80s movie to anyone.
so I always kind of guessed, like I literally base my concept of what a space opera is around Star Wars. Like I'm like, if it's like Star Wars and it's a space opera, so is that what it is? Like just
I mean,
like
it's pretty similar. It's like, all right, big buff Flash Gordon guy is gonna go beat up
the
like
evil
something
emperor / king wizard
Emperor Ming,
Ming?
or Ming the
Wait, how do you spell
Ming the
that?
Merciless. There we go.
Is he
Ming the
is he of
Merciless.
Asian descent? Daniel.
Yes. This is made in the 30s, okay?
Okay. Is it Ming and he's Asian?
It is, yes. He's
Okay.
got the long, the long
He's got the
beard
Fu
and everything.
Manchu. I didn't know that. But
Well, he doesn't have a thick accent or anything. He's just a big, hammy, overblown character.
I know another sci-fi thing, and that we're kind of talking about, like older sci-fi, is I guess like the Twilight Zone. That'd be considered sci-fi, right? Like,
yeah.
'cause it's just like every episode. I feel like they take or like I don't know, what genre would that be?
It's both. Like it's like paranormal sci-fi. I'm trying to think. There's probably some fantasy element. I would lean towards more sci-fi than
Okay.
fantasy.
Well,
but
I was gonna just say about it that every episode of You Don't Know What It Is, it pretty much took the whole concept of sci-fi where you could really explain anything, and have it on like an per episode basis. So each episode, it's just like something's off or something's weird or something's just like not 100% correct, in just a wide variety of ways. And that's pretty cool. I've only seen like a couple episodes.
I loved the shit of Twilight Zone as a kid, even though it was so old that I couldn't get into it. But like, I just loved the concept of that. And another show you just reminded me of, X-Files. I would watch the shit out of either. I guess they did kind of reboot X-Files recently, but I would watch shit of a show similar to the premise of X-Files, of just like a detective episode, villain of Monster of the Week, but just random weird shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like Gravity Falls kind of hit that a little bit, but that's sort of like the truth that's out there kind of. Well, the thing is, the thing about X-Files is I found the UFO stuff like the most boring part, even though they focused mostly on UFO stuff. But like they had so many cool episodes of like they fought a guy that was like a pyrokineticist, and then there was an episode where it was just like a redneck mutated family that was like inbred. And then there was an episode where there was like a parasitic worm that they found in the Arctic, and it was like the thing where they had to keep it in there without it like being released, and they didn't know who had the worm.
That kind of makes me just think of Rick and Morty. Like,
yeah, it's
what
like
you're
that,
describing.
but yeah, like but like I wanted like a semi-serious show, like maybe like a detective show.
Oh,
or like
okay, so one that like treats it more like grounded,
a little serious,
like a bit more of a mystery to it.
Yeah, like maybe make it like a private detective firm where they go and investigate weird shit, and actually that stuff actually happens. and each
Yeah.
episode was like, they Swamp Thing would be a great premise for an episode of like just like a random thing in the swamp comes out of the water or something, and they have to find out what it is. I don't know. That I've
Yeah,
always wanted something like that. And X-Files kind of hit that niche for a while, but again, they also every season they're like, but what about the aliens? And every time I'm like, fuck, I don't care. I don't care about the UFO. I don't care if there's aliens.
Speaking of UFOs and stuff, I think like as of recording this, wasn't it like 2 or 3 weeks ago the US government like put out the like the video footage, like the really old video footage of like the supposed like UFOs, or I mean they don't know.
All
We don't know what
that
the fuck this
means is it's an object that was in the air that they couldn't identify. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean aliens.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
being
no,
said,
but
it would be really cool if that were aliens.
Like I think aliens are definitely a thing, but like I don't know how likely it is that like they're just like, totally fucking with
around.
us. Yeah.
Well, they could be fucking with us. Maybe this whole time they're just
Can they send
drones.
some fucking help or something? Have they seen the state of the world?
Because like if we could like space travel and we discovered some other planet, I feel like we would not just like be like, yo, dude, let's like totally fuck with them. Like maybe
let's
like
get in the corner of some out of focus cameras.
in the age of TikTok, maybe.
oh my gosh.
Oh man, so we could talk about this because it's sci-fi, but imagine like I want to know like how the internet would react the first day aliens were discovered. Like what, like all the memes that would be created.
Because I feel like the first thing people would do would just like try to prove it fake.
Oh
like,
yeah, that'd be fair. But like if there was just like live footage of like a thing just parking down, I guess people any kind of like evidence of them showing up, people would deny it because we're in an area where that would.
Let's say like a UFO lands in the middle of Washington, and there's so many like witnesses, and so many videos. Like everyone knows this is real, except for a few people who are just like, I want to be special and not have an opinion that everyone else holds. No, that was all faked. Quite clearly, all like 300,000 people that saw that. No, they're all just government moles. Yeah.
But like the first day, like all the memes, all the fucking like the shit that would go down. I mean, it would be chaos for the first couple of months, to be honest. But like, oh man, I'm trying to think. Like, would there be memes being made like day one? Do you think?
Of course,
day one.
The internet exists. Like,
yeah, the internet is. It doesn't really care. They could be here to destroy all life, and it would be like a photo of the Earth with like a, I don't know, like a crying face photoshopped into it or something. Like,
so
the internet doesn't care.
Kind of, I think, just kind of going back to the like sci-fi movies and TV shows. I think like one of the patterns I've noticed for myself is I tend to like sci-fi movies and TV shows more when they're kind of like just episodic, like Rick and Morty or something, where they just explore a bunch of different things. Because like you said, Matthew, with the X-Files, if they just keep going back to like aliens, you're like, I don't care about aliens. I want to see like other quirky sci-fi stuff. So
that was more opinion for me because I just generally like, because I knew they were going to focus on it, and it was going to be like, by the end of the day, they weren't going to actually show them because they had to show up for the next mystery.
Yeah,
like it was that specific. But yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, so like that's why another kind of like episodic like TV show that's an anime actually is a amazing anime called Cowboy Bebop. That's actually that poster right there that you totally can't really see that well. But yeah, Cowboy Bebop is just like an anime. It's like 24 episodes or whatever, and they're in space, and it's like space cowboys, and they go bounty hunting, but like across like different planets and stuff. And it's
a good point though.
Amazing.
Is one of the appeals of Cowboy Bebop is like, since it's in the future, it's like a standard like cowboy with bounty hunters thing, but like all the villains are like crazy concepts. Like there's a guy that like uploads himself to the internet, I think, and starts a cult. There's a guy, and then there's like a old chess player that like makes a software run like 20 years later that like steals like a bunch of money or something, I think, right?
Oh yeah, and then I don't remember exactly what it did, but like I remember like apparently like the dude was just like bonkers because like he's an old man and it was something he had programmed to happen 20 years like previously. So when they like went to try to like arrest him and stuff, it's just this like it's just old man that like has lost his mind that's just
Yeah, he's just playing chess, and it's like how would he have done that? But he was so smart. He did it so
ahead
funny.
of time. I
Yeah.
think one of the like tropes that are in like a lot of sci-fi things is like the hacker type of like character because obviously if you're doing sci-fi stuff you got to have like a lot of technology and at least in Cowboy Bebop the hacker is like a I don't know how old is she like a 12-year-old
Like
girl
14.
named 14-year-old girl named like Ed or is it Ed or Eddie I think it's just Ed.
It's just Ed.
Ed yeah and there's like the
I think her
cutest
actual name
corgi.
is Edward though.
Do you think the corgi in Cowboy Bebop was like I don't want to say sentient because like I feel like dogs all are sentient, but like
It was smart. It was supposed to be smarter than your average. That was another thing. The dog actually had a chip in it. And it was a smart
oh, it
corgi.
had a chip in it. Is that why?
Or something. There was a whole episode where people were trying to kidnap it. It was worth like $10,000 or something.
Oh,
So it has some kind of augment.
I forgot about that.
Do you think the corgi in Cowboy Bebop is aware of war crimes as a concept, and if so, holds Turkey responsible for the Armenian genocide?
Well, I gotta say, the lifespan of a corgi is very long, and they're already in the future. So, like, unless he somehow like,
do you think he specifically looked back on that one event in like a planet?
I don't think he was that smart. I don't think he was smart enough to like read and like I think he was just clever. Like he was smarter than your average dog.
Okay. That's disappointing.
Do any of you know Star Trek that much? I'm assuming not much.
I do not.
Much.
I know that they
really
use
know
like
it through
teleporters.
cultural osmosis. I've never actually watched it.
It's kind of like the second pillar of like modern sci-fi, in my opinion. But my dad used to show me the old episodes, and what I always liked about them is again they explored that part of sci-fi where it's like the cool like mystery of it, of exploring and finding weird places and weird aliens and stuff. There were some cool episodes. There's a whole episode where they didn't know. So spoiler, at the end of it, it's revealed that this whole planet they were on was like made to like spawn whatever your dreams were, like your ideal place.
Oh dang!
But when they got there, it was a nightmare for them because they didn't know about this. So one of them was like, "Man, I wish like you know." Talking about like World War II or something, and he wished he was like there or something. And then a random like Japanese Zero just pulls in and just mows the guy down.
Oh my gosh!
Just talking about World War II and liking it so much, and then like it was like I remember one of the people like, oh yeah, it was just like a it was meant to help you this whole time or like entertain you, and I'm like, people died in this, and that's where the red shirt concept comes from. It's from Star Trek. Now that I think about it. Is because like all the base lackeys had like a red shirt, and then they would be the ones that die all the time because they're like minor characters. They're like the clones from Star Wars: The Clone Wars. They just were like random goons that would just get gibbed whenever.
And just wear red shirts.
Yeah, and they were the red shirts. That's
I don't know how to tell you this. You're the most likely to die of the podcast right now.
No.
Matthew's wearing Commander Gray / black. I guess I'm just civilian. I don't think green's a color.
I know. I'm a goner. The Star Trek episode you just described reminded me of a Black Mirror episode, and I guess Black Mirror is pretty much sci-fi. It's like kind of just like Twilight Zone, but like it just is way more existential.
But like fuck smartphones. Am I right?
Yeah. So one of the episodes was there was just this like total like guy that was not good with women at all. Like just whatever, and he was like the head creator of some like MMO type thing or something. And every day he would go home and he'd put on his virtual reality and he could go in his own like private server of his game. And he would just like, there was like this new chick that like started working for the company. He stole DNA from her and like put her in the game. And the thing it was like doing the whole thing where like all of the AIs in the game like were sentient, and so like they were like calling for help and they were being tortured because I mean they were literally just being like sex slaves, and like if they got like killed they could feel the pain but like they wouldn't die, and so they were just
Yikes.
Yeah, Black Mirror does that a lot. They make you think, or like they do the question of like, is AI, like, are they sentient? You know, and like if so,
Why would
like,
you program an
bad.
AI to feel pain?
If you're a freaking terrible person, because he wanted to like scare them into doing whatever he want, because like the AI could think for themselves, I guess. So like pain was an incentive to be a good sex slave, I guess. And I know one of the punishments was he turned someone into a like giant, disgusting like monster that was like really fat, like something like what was that big slaver guy in Star Wars? Jabba the Hutt.
Oh, yeah.
It was something like Jabba the Hutt, and like they were all saying like, no, be good, do whatever he says, because apparently that's like the most painful thing on the planet is like getting turned into that thing.
So
I don't know.
I don't understand like concepts for. So these are all AI, right?
Yeah, I mean like they're
Yeah,
computer generated.
I don't understand. Like you would have to program them to like. I guess if you're doing like deep learning, like machine learning, maybe an AI would learn to suffer. But I don't understand why any human would like program an AI to be like, yeah, if this happens to you, you fucking feel miserable.
Like that, I mean, like that was like there was another Black Mirror episode where like you implant something in your brain and it lives. It's just there for like 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks they take it out, and it's like a little bit of your consciousness, and then they put it in like fucking smart watches and smart toasters in your like house, and it's
so
literally like
I could honestly see that happening.
fucked up.
And like in order to break it into like do, because like it just comes into existence and it thinks it's like the person, and then you have this person telling you, no, you're going to be a slave for your entire existence.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? No, I'm not. And it's like, okay, we'll see you in 10 years. And the guy just like turns a knob, and 10 years pass in like the perspective of the like AI. So then like once they come back, it's like begging for stuff to do, and then it willingly is a slave because it's better than doing nothing.
I remember watching the episode and thinking like, so all of this, so you have yourself as your voice, like your AI voice, just fucking upload your
Well,
voice.
no, it was like, so it would control like your alarm, your toaster. Like imagine if you had like a smart device for everything in your house.
But why does
I'm
it need to
honestly
be
surprised the plot of that
'Cause you
didn't
know what you
go
want.
like AIs taking revenge for being literally enslaved.
you? Why does that have
Like,
to be so conscious?
lock me away for an entire fucking year. I'll just murder you.
Like, no, like I guess I'm taking a lot of like machine learning stuff because of the analytics major I'm in. But like, it seems like a lot of work to make something sentient just for the sole reason, like, even though it's going to be more inhumane, like it's less work to just make them less sentient.
Yeah,
But
but
still-
I could see it being done for like monetary or like purposes, like or like as an
But like,
example,
you could
maybe
get the same or a better effect without having to like
the knowledge of
have a
them
slave.
being like, who am I? Where am I here? Like that seems like so much work to do. Like
How do you
that guy,
program in existential crises? That's gonna be so difficult.
But that might just be a side effect. So maybe we're thinking about this wrong. We're thinking that that's the intended purpose. But like maybe the purpose is like in the example of having yourself be your entire smart home. Well, the reason they do that is because you know yourself better than like any AI would know yourself.
I
So
would literally
if you're
murder
conscious-
myself if I was forced to like deal with running my own house all day and all night. Fuck that. No, you're getting like toasters in the oven and shit, asshole.
I wouldn't want me running my own place because I'd be like, Matthew, turn it 90 degrees. Okay. Did you hear what I said? Yeah. Did you hear what I said? Yeah. No. 98 degrees.
Okay,
Why the fuck 90 degrees?
98 degrees.
Yeah. I don't know why I want my place to
freaking
be.
toasty,
I'm fucking.
Like AI me would be trying to kill me intentionally. It looks like you're doing the job for yourself, making yourself a sweat lodge.
I know another sci-fi. I think Daniel, I think you told me or showed me about this. Is Futurama.
Yeah,
That's
very
a
good show.
That's a really good cartoon, and I
Very,
like the
very
premise
good
of it.
show.
He's like just delivering pizza, and he like stumbles across like some like cryogenic like.
He's delivering pizza to a cryogenic research facility, and he slips, falls in, and gets frozen for like 1,000 years.
I remember that first episode being really sad because he wakes up and like his girlfriend's like dead, his family's dead, like literally all his friends, like literally everybody he knew is just. I mean, they're non-existent.
was going to
Yep.
wipe my face, but it's going to look.
Oh, have you ever seen the dog
I'm not
episode?
crying.
The dog episode? No, I have not.
It's
I wanna talk about the
great.
dog episode.
It talks about what his loyal dog did when Fry, the main character,
Oh.
gets frozen, went missing. It is heart-wrenching.
One thing that Black Mirror and a lot of sci-fi things kind of explore is, so fantasy kind of has this, but it's fantasy, so you're never going to encounter magic. But with sci-fi, with some of the concepts, theoretically, they could happen. And that's what Black Mirror does, which is like, they give you these concepts of like, all right, once an AI, the classic, if an AI becomes self-aware enough, like at one point this is just life, there's that concept that's always spooky. And then you get things like consciousness and like uploading your consciousness to the net and how that would affect you and how dark that is.
Yeah, like there was one episode where and I'm trying to describe these without like spoiling them too much, but there was one episode where pretty much if you're rich enough, when you die, you can upload your consciousness into like a server, and then like I guess like theoretically when you die, you could still live on digitally in the server. But like yeah, it just with sci-fi.
I want to do a thing.
Oh no, go ahead.
Do you have something to talk about? Or
No.
all right. So, sci-fi question times for all the hard-hitting questions in sci-fi. I'm gonna ask you and Matthew.
Okay.
So, singularity. Let's say you can live on forever, but your consciousness has to be digitized. Would you like go through with that? Would you consider that you still?
See that, man, that's like, do I have an option to like delete myself at any given time?
Probably.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I mean, then probably, because then I would just like try it out if I could then just turn it off. Like,
now then, do you think it's the same you?
I don't think so. I mean, like
that's a question. That is not a question
it's like
I'm going to answer.
a digital thing that
But
is thinking it's me. Like that's the same thing with teleportation. Okay. It's like, are you still you if you get teleported, or like are you dying and like a clone of you thinks it's you, and then
they actually covered this pretty what do you call it, like thoroughly in Star Trek. Apparently the teleporters, they're just murder machines, because like your body
that's
is
how they work.
Deconstructed into energy and then reconstructed at the other point using the energy from your body. But like you can get split into two separate beings with their own individual wills to live. They did this for some like B movie sci-fi plot where it was like a evil Captain Kirk and a good Captain Kirk.
I forgot about that.
Conclusively proves that they're killing themselves every time they walk through the teleporter.
God, it's so dark. And then
it's just like you have a best friend that thinks it's you, but like you as a person die. Like, so just you die and then someone else goes on thinking they're you. So if that was how teleporters work, I would never use a teleporter, because you're just going to die and then someone else thinks they're you.
Imagine being like the first person to be like, all right, who's going to be the first person to try to upload themselves? We have the technology to do it now. Who's willing to try it? It's like, do you want to be?
I would. I feel like some rich like asshole CEO. Like
you can probably do like a chimp. Like you probably should upload a chimp brain and see if it works. Oh no, that poor chimp would be so confused. Actually, that's like, fucked up. Now that I think about
banana?
it.
You just
like
in a virtual room with just
it's just filled with like female chimps and like bananas, and it's like I don't care anymore.
Also, like a lot of our personality is tied up in our biology. Like different people have, different types of hormones going through them. They have different like neural pathways, all that sort of thing. How do you represent all of that, in a computer?
Man, like that's like, because the sci-fi genre does something that I feel like most other genres can't do, and like it brings up these like super like existential, and
funny thing is
like questions.
Sorry. I just remembered something. Greg Daniels, the guy who made The Office, by the way, he's making a show that's coming out soon called Uploaded or Upload. And it's that premise of this guy's dying. And it's like, do you want to get yourself uploaded? And he's like, fine. And he does it. And I guess the whole show's about him being like uploaded into like a virtual world. And like he's kind of complaining because at one point he like goes to dig in for food, but it's like, oh no, now it's lunchtime and the food changes. It's like it's not even real. Why does it matter?
That makes me think. I don't know if this is considered sci-fi, and I also don't. I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen the movie trailer. There was this movie called Downsized, and it was like you could
I've
theoretically
seen the
like
trailer for that too.
yeah, like you could spend your money and convert it to like like how people like move to like third world countries to like be rich there when they retire. You could do that, but like you turn yourself small so you can go in like this small little world.
I would do that.
That's interesting. But
Because
like can you go back?
Probably not in the movie, but like it would just make things more efficient. But at the same time, like I guess like I was about to say
I
nothing
feel
would
like
really
we would
change.
just expand to like meet that new level of efficiency.
But I was just about to say like I was like nothing would really change besides just like the town you're in would be like the same size to you. But I'm like, well, no, water would be different because technically like the smaller you go, the more water is like fuckier. Like
Oh,
if you're
I didn't think about that.
because if you're like bugs and shit, the reason they hate water is because like it's too like viscosity. What's the word?
Or
Yeah,
it's
no.
I think it has more to do with the water tension.
That's what it is. Thank
Like
you.
it'll
Oh,
basically like bulb around them if they don't have special like bullshit on their body.
Like they're so
and they'll
small that like a drop can just like it's hard to get out of.
Yeah,
That would
I'm
be
sure
one
the
thing
movie
if
touches on that. But I know we're running a little bit low on time. So, are there any other like sci-fi, anythings that you guys
anything.
want to talk about before we wrap it up?
There's so many topics on this, by the way. Bicentennial Man. I watched the movie as a kid. Tried to get Daniel to watch it. He wouldn't watch it because it was boring.
I considering I don't even know what movie you're talking about,
It's not that good. It has Robin Williams in it though, and it's about a robot that like over like 200 years like learns to become human and like whatever. No, that's about it.
I guess you're like the Terminator movies. I haven't seen any of them. And like the RoboCop and like all that kind of like types of movies of like
What's the one with Will Smith?
that's
And
I Human or
no, it's like
iRobot.
Yeah.
Where-
Human.
iHuman.
I mean, it could make sense because it could be a sentient robot that's like, I human. Like,
Me, human.
oh, I guess the Matrix. The Matrix is sci-fi.
Yeah,
The
that's
Matrix
like pretty
is,
hard sci-fi too.
Yeah, like
that's like the type of sci-fi that fucks with you. That was probably one of the first big movies that did that too. Well, yeah, one of the popular ones. To be like, oh yeah,
I think
reality as
what
you know
makes-
it, it's fucked.
I think
Sorry.
what makes sci-fi or like good sci-fi good is when it's like, oh wow, that's some pretty fucky shit, huh? Leaves you with some questions, right? Like all the good sci-fis leave you thinking afterwards.
Yeah. I also just a fun fact. So they are they're not rebooting the Matrix franchise. They are just making a fourth movie. Like after like 20 or 30 years or however
What
long.
even happened in the third one? I only watched the first one.
I don't know.
I watched the first two. I think Neo
saw
becomes
all
like
three of
Jesus
them.
or something. I forget. He like
I forgot. Like I know it was just like whole like wars and like they were like going to war with the robots and all that stuff.
they win in the end.
I have to say, I hate to say it, but I rewatched the first one. I was showing Caitlin it the other day. I don't think it like ages. Like
I think it's still pretty good.
There
very
are parts that date it really hard, but
It's
I
very
think it's
90s
still a like
or-
really good movie.
yeah.
Like, when did it come out? Like late 90s, I think, or early.
I got more of like an early 2000s vibe off of it when I watched it. It may have been late 90s.
Fun fact: both of the Wachowski brothers who made the movie are now not brothers but sisters because they're now identified as women. Fun fact: both of them.
Oh,
Interesting.
that is very interesting. But
right.
so because we are still limited to Zoom technology with 40-minute time limits, we gotta wrap it up. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you have like any things that we missed talking about the sci-fi genre that you think we should have talked about, let us know in the comments down below. I guess if you're watching it on YouTube, and yeah,
If you're on
thanks.
Spotify, you don't get a voice.
Yeah, no voice for you audio listeners unless you go to YouTube, I guess. But
So watch the podcast again on the other platform. Give us twice the views.
Okay. Well, bye, guys. Thanks for
Goodbye.
watching.